Today we have a very special guest with us. A very celebrated architect. For a while now you have studied, learned and got into something called
the Venkateshwara statue is an idol, that is there. But where does the power to that idol come from? It comes from the mandala which is placed under that idol.
any idol is just a rock.
Yeah.
But the difference between a rock and the idol itself
Is the geometry under
right.
it. Every temple in India would have this. So each deity will have a signature, and the signature is this mandala. I'm faced with a lot of obstacles in my life. Then I invite my friend Siddhi Vinayaka as a wave function to manifest in my reality. That is a program. It's basically a program. That wave function does what it is meant to do, which is basically remove obstacles. The mandala is like a portal. Open a portal, put up an antenna there, and then start to give the mantra frequency, the sound frequency. The frequency is broadcast till that tattva is brought into this portal. If you are stagnating in life, invite Durga Devi. You want abundance in life, invite Varamahalakshmi, invite Kartikeya, because he is the one who gives you confidence through knowledge.
Today, I mean, in the world, you see people selling certain yantras and, geometric patterns. Is there a negative impact?
But the sad part of it, Arjun, is that today it's a very perverted practice.
They say if you abuse it or your intention is not pure, it's going to come back and hurt you.
We have extensive homas that happen. What is happening there? First of all, there is a geometry because the Homa Kunda itself is sacred geometry. Then the mantras are chanted. And what is put into the Homa? It is plant parts. So when you have all these three coming together, portals open where that Devi or Devata will enter into that. If you take Durga for example, in the mandala you can clearly see three triangles intersecting to form a central triangle. What does our mythology say? To vanquish an asura who became too powerful, Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva came together to create Durga. And you can see that in the mandala very clearly. When I started to examine Lutyens' drawings of that South Delhi, the Lutyens Delhi, it is nothing but sacred geometry. The last Mandala Vatika physically installed was by Bogar Siddhar in Palani. There is a hill called Palani in Tamil Nadu where you have a very famous Murugan temple.
This is the first one after.
After that, Bogar, the first Murugan Mandala Vatika ever built, is in our ashram by Puja Gurudev.
Oh, wow. So, welcome, Prabhakar. Today we have a very special guest with us, dear friend, a very celebrated architect, and he is somebody who has headed the agricultural activities of the art living for many, many years now, trained thousands of farmers in natural farming. And now, not now, but for a while now, you have studied, learned, and got into something called Mandala Vatika, which is what we're going to be talking about today.
Right. Always a pleasure to be with you, Arjun.
So, you've had a storied career in architecture. I mean, this Statue of Unity, the Central Vista Parliament. Can you tell us a few more places that people know of that you've been involved in?
I have several projects that were done outside India, and I was there for about 25 years in Dubai, and I based my consultancy there. And I was actually the personal advisor to His Highness the Aga Khan for landscape architecture. So all his projects across the world, I have had a lot to do with the landscape architecture design for those projects. And apart from that, world over, I mean, I did the Kazan waterfront, that is in Tajikistan. I did the Jumeirah, Palm Jumeirah village.
Island
The island there.
Yeah.
So we did a lot of work there. We did many parks and across the UAE. We did one of the world's largest natural lakes. We created a natural lake that is about 300 acres in size, and that was in the city of Muscat in Oman. So a lot of projects outside, apart from Indonesia and Malaysia, we had a lot of projects. But I came back in 2011, Gurudev called me back and he says, now you can come back to India. And here I actually didn't want to go back to architecture because I wanted to do seva for Gurudev here. But I mean, I still got sucked into many projects. One was the Statue of Unity, the Sardar Patel statue that happened, the Central Vista, the new Parliament building, and all that complex that is happening even now. The Pune riverfront, that is a very beautiful project. The Tapi riverfront in Surat, that's another project that I am involved with. We have the Junagadh Lake in Gujarat that is happening. So several large projects which are keeping me busy in architecture.
And how did you always have a passion for natural farming and agriculture, or was that something you developed when you came here?
No, I actually have a PhD
Oh, wow.
in genetics and plant breeding and a master's in agriculture. So agriculture was my original education.
I guess
And then
architecture was the
yeah,
was the
architecture was actually a detour that I
right.
took. Yeah, but that's again a guru story of sorts, because nobody knew my background in agriculture. Everybody knew me in art of living as an architect and a landscape architect. But when Gurudev gave me seva, he called me one afternoon and he said, "What are you doing?" I said, I'm doing, I'm eating or something like that." I said,
I think
so
in
he,
life, what do
yeah,
you
in
do?
life, what he, so I said something as mundane as that. And then he said, see, I'm thinking of making you a trustee in the agriculture trust. And my heart skipped, because how did he know that I had a background in agriculture? And I was passionate about seed keeping, I was passionate about natural farming or chemical free farming and all that. So to me, it was like a godsend, because there's something very personal here. You know, I belong to the generation of scientists who brought in the green revolution into this country.
Oh, wow.
Dr. M.S. Swaminathan, Dr. M.B. Rao, they were my mentors. And I was among the front line of scientists who brought this chemical farming into this country. And I've always, somewhere, I have had that regret that I have done something to the country that, was not correct, inadvertently, but nonetheless, I was a part of something that destroyed the health
Natural
of
farming is
people.
the way to-
Yeah. And Gurudev, by bringing me into the agriculture trust, gave me a chance to do prayashchit. It was for me redemption, that I had an opportunity to correct
And
a
you
wrong.
trained over thousands of farmers on
Yeah,
natural farming techniques.
we worked with 22 lakh farmers
Oh,
across
wow.
the country.
Not thousands, lakhs.
Yeah,
That's-
2.2 million. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that was something very special, because only he knew that I had an agriculture background, and maybe he knew that inside this pain was there, that I had done something wrong and I needed a chance to right it in a small way, no doubt. But he gave me the opportunity, he gave me the platform. Yeah.
And then Mandala Vatika also.
And then Mandala Vatika also happened.
And there you mentioned Radha Kunj, the lake property here in the ashram. He wanted you to
Yeah.
revamp that.
Yeah, so that's where my first foray into Mandala Vatika happened. And that's when I kept going back to Gurudev, saying that, see, there is this whole science which is there. And he slowly got me to develop a manual and make a course.
So
out
was
of
that
it.
you obviously must have researched all of this, studied.
Yeah.
How much of his kind of downloaded input helped you structure that manual or add to it? How much of it was research? How much of it was him?
My answer would be all of
of it was-
all of it was him. I don't give myself too much credit, because I could definitely see, I would just reach out and it would be there. I would say, why are these two things not fitting? There must be some bit I'm missing, and then it'll surface. I mean, I don't think that happens by such a stretch of coincidence. So I would give all the credit to him. Yeah.
Right. I mean, think about it. To research, to find information on something that's lost, and then create a program and course, and actually create real architecture out of it. I guess there is some. There needs to be a guru support. To be
Yeah,
able to
no,
do
no,
all
it
that.
has to be a part of a bigger plan. No way it can be a one thing. And yes, Mandala Vatika has been a passion of mine. And I actually, it was Guru Grace that actually kind of got me into this, because when Gurudev asked me to design what we now today know as the Radha Kunj, at that time, his brief was a one line. He said, an ashram 2000 years ago, just make it like that. I normally as an architect get a 100-page brief from a client. His was a one line, which then put the responsibility on me that I have to really dig in to find out what were the principles of Vedic landscape architecture. And when I did that, my studies took me to the University of Heidelberg, where they have the Indische Bibliothek, where Max Muller's original scripts are there. And when I was finding out what kind of gardens there were there was this whole section on geometric gardens based on mandalas, which were documented during the Vedic period.
So this was in Germany.
Yeah, because Max Muller took the original scripts and the recordings and shifted it for safekeeping in Germany.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what is it? Like a lot of people can't understand that geometric structures or line drawings can sort of impact real world outcomes. It seems very woo woo. How first? Can you explain it to us? Somebody doesn't know what it is. What exactly is Mandala Vatika?
Right. So a mandala, first of all, okay, a mandala is nothing but a geometric design that is drawn, and each deity, so to see. So we have Siddhivinayaka, we have a Siddhivinayaka Mandala Vatika, we have Durga, we have Durga Mandala Vatika. So every deity has got a specific pattern that is special and unique to that particular deity. So let us understand this in a more simpler way, okay? If creation had to happen, even today quantum physics and our Vedas agree that the fundamental starting point was a shunya, it was nothing. So from nothing, if something has to arise, it has to arise as some sort of a wave. You know, it has to be some kind of a wave in that sea of nothing. Some wave starts to happen. Quantum physics says that yes, waves happen, and then the waves might reach an oscillation where it appears to become a particle. That's what quantum physics says. In our Vedas also it's the same thing. They say that this world has never been created. It is just the perturbations of the waves and the what we call the frequencies, you know, that creates this whole what we call the manifest universe, okay? So just look at this. If there is a wave, and I will again go to the example of a pebble being tossed into a pond. The wave will give ripples, and then the ripples will go and hit somewhere, and they will come back, and then they will start colliding with each other. I put two pebbles, one a bigger pebble, one a smaller pebble. There will be two kinds of waves, and these waves will interact to create very intricate geometric patterns. Right. That's what we call the flower of life. You know, we got the Metatron cube, for example. All these sacred geometry that you'll find across the world are nothing but interference patterns of waves. Okay, in our understanding, one wave would be given the name of Siddhivinayaka, one wave would be given the name of Durga. So these are what we call tattvas. Tattvas are nothing but wave frequencies.
Wave functions.
Wave functions, literally. And in mathematics, we know, right, you come from the background of math. So when wave functions need to be represented on paper, it becomes geometry. You know, you get all the different interactions. Mandalas are nothing but that. So when you say a mandala of, let us say, Kartikeya or Muruga, it means that is the pattern. When that tattva starts to manifest in this world, that is the pattern that is its signature.
Right.
So each deity will have a signature, and the signature is this mandala. How is it important to you and me? When we are actually living life in this what we call the illusion of Maya or whatever, but to us it's real. This table is real. So in this world of reality, when I invite these frequencies, so suppose I am having a life where I'm faced with a lot of obstacles in my life, right? Then I invite my friend Siddhivinayaka as a wave function to manifest in my reality. That is a program. It's basically a program. That wave function does what it is meant to do, which is basically remove obstacles. That's the function of that. So when you invite Siddhivinayaka into your life, it is nothing but a wave function. How do you do it practically? through this mandala, because the mandala is like a portal, right? And then there are chants, and then there is the plants that are special to this. Now, what are the plants? Plants are like antenna. They are like receivers. So you open a portal, put up an antenna there, and then start to give the mantra frequency, the sound frequencies. The frequencies broadcast till that tattva is brought into this portal. Once that Siddhivinayaka manifests in your life, he does what he is supposed to do, which is remove your obstacles. If you are stagnating in life, invite Durga Devi. She is the queen of chaos. She will shake up your whole life and take you to a higher equilibrium. You want abundance in life? Invite Varamahalakshmi. That tattva will come and give you abundance. Abundance not just as zeros in your bank, abundance in the richness of your life, friends, santana, the knowledge, everything, the all aspects of abundance will manifest, you know. Kartikeya, you want courage through knowledge, you're facing an interview tomorrow, you're little shaky, invite Kartikeya, because he is the one who gives you confidence through knowledge, strength through knowledge. So that way, this Mandala Vatika is all about inviting tattvas into your manifest realities so that they will do what they are programmed to do. You just sit back, because then they will do what they have to do. That's how Gurudev has viewed this particular science. Revived it after 2000 years.
So let me ask you this. For example, you just mentioned that it invites that energy. So if somebody wants abundance,
Yeah.
then there is a certain sacred geometry for that,
Correct.
and then a mantra for that invites it. So the question I'm trying to ask is, how much of mandalas and vatikas how much can they impact the actual outcome? For example, just simplistically speaking, there is an area which is very, very poor, yeah, destitute, and a slum area, very large, people don't have money. By just drawing mandalas and invoking these chants, can we change that entire area? Or so how much will it impact positively?
Okay.
Because there's so many different parts to this, like there is local policies, people, their motivation levels to actually change their environment, so many things, and then you have, you know, mandala as well. How much can it impact?
Right. So Mandala Vatika is very special because this is done only for your manifest reality. So it is like my manifest reality. See, it's like this. We are all sitting in the same, we are sharing the same physical space. But your universe is a different universe than mine. Because you are viewing this physical reality through your experiences, your insights, your thing. I am viewing it through mine. Actually, although we share the same physical space, you and me live in different universes, right? Mandala Vatika is purely an exploration into your own self reality. That is, if I invite Siddhivinayaka into my life, problems in my life will be taken care of. That's the principle of this. So if we are looking at a community,
A society.
okay, society,
A city. Right.
then it is how many people in that society would invite these tattvas into their lives. See, there are many ways. Mandala Vatika is not the only way of inviting a tattva. I mean, you could go to a temple and pray with devotion, and the tattva will
I was going to
manifest.
ask you that.
Yeah.
Like if you're inviting Durga or Lakshmi into your home,
Right.
you could pray to her.
Yes, you could.
Is it the same impact as praying versus having? Like,
This is,
practicing
yeah,
mandala?
this is like a 2025 packaging. I mean, this is instant.
Right.
I mean, this is brass tack. See, even when we go to the temple, this is very interesting. We go to a temple, let's say we go to Balaji, because he is again a bestower of wealth. So we go to Balaji because you are saying, hey, I've got some money that's due to me. If it comes, 10% is yours. And it comes and you go and give it to Balaji. What's happening there? Yeah. The Venkateshwara statue is an idol, that is there. But where does the power to that idol come from? It comes from the mandala which is placed under that idol.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so there is a mandala which gets placed under the idol, it gets consecrated, the tattva gets invoked, and then the statue is installed. And then we need something physical. It's it's a little bit disconcerting to do it to a design on the paper. But if you see a nice statue, it's easier for us to relate to it, right? But then you're relating to it through the filters of so many people around you, right? It will still act, but if you want the 100% impact, then Mandala Vatika is a one-to-one. You are calling the tattva. You basically open a portal, put the plants there, which are the receiving antennas, and then you, through the mantra, you broadcast the invitation, the tattva comes in. And that's it.
So, and it kind of makes sense in a simplistic way. Any idol is just a rock.
Yeah.
But the difference between a rock and the idol itself
Is the geometry under
right,
it.
right.
Every temple in India would have this. In fact, if you go to some of the advanced practitioners of mantra and tantra and all that, even the idol becomes irrelevant. For them, the puja starts with drawing the mandala and inviting the tattva. That's really as one-to-one as it gets.
And is this science present across civilizations, like, or is it only unique to to India and to the Vedic tradition?
It is said that from our Vedic ancestral knowledge, it spread through all across the world. That's what it is said. Because if you go to the Mayan civilization today,
Egypt,
you go to Egypt, you go to Mesopotamia, you go to China, everywhere you will see sacred geometry. In fact, if you go to southern Spain, to Alhambra and all that, you will see the arabesque architecture that took mandalas to another level. You know, they were so advanced at one point that the Arabs were so evolved in mathematics and geometry and all these astrology and astronomy and all that, that they were like incredible. But across the universe, you will see sacred geometry. And that's the point, because nothing can start without understanding the fundamental wave interactions. So wave functions collide, what happens? Geometry happens. And if you know exactly what is happening there, you can use it to your advantage in your manifest reality. That's the idea.
So you mentioned sacred geometry being present everywhere, especially in the Arabic.
Arabesque culture. That's like southern Spain and you know those the
But you mentioned
Alhambra.
that you need mantra to
Yeah.
really manifest those energies. So
Yeah.
how did they, like, that's just geometry. They were missing the mantra because the mantra seems
Yeah.
to be more part of the Vedic tradition, and it'll be Sanskritans involved there. How does that work?
See, even in the Sanskrit, whenever a mantra is chanted, there is something called a laya. Okay? And it is said that the laya is the key.
And
What
laya-
is the laya? Laya is the fundamental rhythm. Okay? Like suppose Nasadiya Sukta is one of the, it's a mantra that traces the origins of the universe. Yeah. So Nasada Sin, No Sada
I see
Asit.
what you're
Okay. So there is a laya. I could
rhythm
say
tuned to it.
I could say la 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 la. If I say it correctly, it doesn't matter what I am saying. If I can get the laya, the impact will happen. So you will see even in other traditions, chants were there. They were not in the language of Sanskrit, but the underlying laya is unmistakable. So even if you take chants of all the ancient cultures, if you see even today, when you go and hear some of the chants of the native Indians or the Inuit Eskimo populations, you will find that they're very close to what we chant here. You know, they have got there's something so that you can identify with. What do you identify? Not the words, it's the laya.
So today, I mean, in the world, you see people selling certain yantras and geometric patterns. How much of that is do you require somebody who has knowledge to invoke it and then give it to you versus someone just draws it and give it to you? Essentially, is there a negative impact on certain yantras and mandalas which have not been done correctly, or can someone misuse it?
Okay, so let's understand the difference between a mandala and a yantra.
Okay.
Okay, so a yantra is something that is permanently etched, whether on a metal plate or stone or whatever. It's a permanent etching, and it is repeatedly invoked. Chants are made repeatedly to energize that particular geometry. Mandala is a one-time thing. It's a portal which you draw. Once the tattva comes in, the portal's finished. Then it's only a piece of paper. Right? In fact, the Tibetans took it to another level. When Tibetans draw a mandala, they take nearly a month to draw elaborate mandalas as big as this room, the floor in this room. Very intricate mandalas they will draw, but once it is finished, they take a broom and sweep it off. It's done. That's it. Because once that tattva is entered, its purpose is you don't need the mandala anymore, right? The mandala just becomes a sketch. That's it. Some people can frame it and keep it, but it's just a piece of art. It's nothing.
You don't need it to hold the energy there.
You don't need to hold it. The yantra technology is the one that is supposed to hold the energy, but the sad part of it, Arjun, is that today it's a very perverted practice. The reason is you go to Amazon and you will see, you want a woman in your life, there is a yantra for it. You have a woman who you don't want, there is a yantra for it. I mean, you want to wish somebody harm, there is a yantra for it. I mean, what nonsense. And each of them can run into lakhs of rupees. And there are gullible people who actually, depend on something like this. So what has happened there is, the science is perfect, but the practice has become so perverted today that many people end up hurting themselves in this exploration of yantras, because the techniques are corrupted. The spirit
also. They might not draw it correctly.
And more than that, Mandala Vatika is a very innocent science. There is so much of innocence in mandala practice, whereas in yantra it becomes an agenda. I want this to happen, I want that to happen. Here in mandala you say, okay, I am inviting my friend Vinayaka into my life, come, let's spend some time together, and that's it. It's as innocent as that. But Mandala Vatika itself as a science which I teach, that happens because of the grace of a living master. See, because his kavach is basically a shield, a protective shield. There is a protective shield that Guru Tattva allows, it installs, so that we can explore these extraordinarily powerful frequencies intimately like friends. The way I can sit and talk to you, that's how I would interact with the Devis and the Devatas, right? Because I am protected in that shield. So having that protection is very fundamental. It is the Guru Tattva, because it's that field of information which actually provides the protection. And as long as you are innocent in your calling, there are no ill effects in Mandala Vatika. Whereas yantra, I would just say, be very careful.
Yeah, because interestingly, whenever you talk about mantra chanting or yogic practices, the siddhis that come with it, they say if you abuse it or your intention is not pure, it's going to come back and hurt you. And also these energies that you refer to, that we invoke, they're all in a way living, like they're conscious. So how much does the intention of the person practicing it matter over here? Like, for example, if I'm doing it for the harm of somebody, I'm creating a yantra, I want to harm this person, which you can do, right? I mean, you can use this for harm. So does that happen? Can you use it for harm? Does it work like that? Or do these energies, I guess, in a simple way, refuse to participate in something that is going to hurt somebody else?
The energies are energies. They are non-judgmental, okay? They will do what they are programmed to do. But there is again the cycle or the law of karma, right? In whichever way you look at it, as you sow, so shall you reap, or whatever, it doesn't matter through which lens you look at it. But if you are going to harm somebody, just try to understand this principle. All this manifest reality has come from the same source. You are a part of that, and if I am wanting to hurt somebody, I am hurting myself. There is no getting away from this. It's only because I feel separate from that person, I think I am hurting him and I am getting away with it. But if I am hurting somebody, I am hurting myself somewhere. So if you look at the through a holistic view of existence itself, we are a part of the whole, and everything has come from one source. The separation is purely man-made, right? Because I have filters which make me think that Arjun's different from me. But if I'm going to hurt Arjun, I am definitely going to hurt myself.
So
You know,
it's a zero-sum game for sure.
it's a zero-sum
Karma
game.
will catch up.
It will catch
but
up.
it is possible for somebody with ill intentions to misuse a yantra, unfortunately. So I mean, it's a practice. Like I said, for example, if somebody doesn't know what they're doing when they make it and sell it, people should be wary of it.
Very cautious about it, and that's why I find mandalas so pure. It's innocence. I mean, you just do it like your relationship with the tattva is that of a friend, and you're just saying, "Come, let's have a nice time. I mean, let's chill." That's the kind of relationship that you have in the mandala tradition. The yantra tradition is a different one. There are tremendous amount of rules. There are tremendous amount of do's and don'ts. Mandalas hardly have any do's and don'ts. It's like the people would have been 4,000 or 10,000 years ago in the Vedic civilization. For them, everything was understood. They knew.
Both are based off of sacred geometry.
Yes.
Yantras
Yeah.
and mandalas.
Yes, they are. They are. But one took it to a very, what shall I say, demanding science with lot of rules. And therefore, the rules were put in place so that people don't misuse it.
Right.
Yeah. But then perversion, because it's power. So there is perversion. And today, like you said, one would have to think very carefully before ordering on Amazon, a yantra to bump someone off, or, or to ensnare a girl. I mean,
Right.
I think you should be very careful.
So coming back to Mandala Vatika, I was talking to you about changing the circumstances of a city or a
Yeah.
country or a place. So what you're saying is the mandala does have the ability to do that. Like,
Yeah.
if there were enough mandalas in an area where you wanted to uplift the socio-economic conditions, you could do it using mandalas.
Yes. You could. It requires that critical mass of practitioners. Once that critical mass of practitioners happens, then it's a snowball effect. Yeah.
And it's not that you put mandalas, you do the mantras, and all of a sudden wealth just starts falling from the sky. There is I guess, a causation there where individuals get impacted by the mandala and the yantras. They start doing the right things. They start actively moving towards whatever it is that you've invoked the mandala for. And as a consequence, like a domino effect, like let's say you mandalas were for abundance start coming in. It's not like it's not magic, so to speak, where it just manifests. It's impacting people, and then people are doing the right things. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely. If you think of these frequencies as algorithms, right? Algorithms which can manifest reality, which can actually modify your manifest reality, they are algorithms, right? So if sufficient number of algorithms are there working, then it becomes a combined consciousness. That's what we say as a combined consciousness.
And you also mentioned that there is a connection between, like, the right plant has to be there, the right mantra. What about planets? Because it seems like there has to be some connection between the cosmos, different planets, and the mandalas. How does that relate and how does that connect? Or is there one?
It is. If you take any homa, for example, during Navratri, for example, we have extensive homas that happen. What is happening there? First of all, there is a geometry, because the Homa Kunda itself is sacred geometry. Very, very precise geometry it is.
That's what they draw.
They
the
draw,
rangoli and everything.
exactly.
That is.
That is the mandala. Okay. Then the mantras are chanted. And what is put into the homa? It is plant parts, right? It's seeds, leaves, flowers. Those are the antennas, right? So when you have all these three coming together, portals open where that Devi or Devata will enter into that
It's
setting.
like Doctor Strange, the movie where they draw things. I think it was inspired most likely.
I am
by-
telling you, 100%. It must have been inspired with something like this. It's exactly that, Doctor Strange, a
They draw
portal.
something, he's whooshing, and then
Yes.
obviously it's a lot of CGI and flair, but it looks to be similar to what you're describing.
Correct, correct, correct. So that's what it is. Yeah.
And then in the homas, for example, you were mentioning that first they draw the mandalas and then they do the chanting. You were going to connect it to the planets. How does that
Yeah.
work?
So planets actually, Gurudev has got a very interesting science which he calls Kshatravriksha, Mitravriksha, and Samavriksha. Okay. In fact, I've written the manual for this one, and I'm hoping he'll bless it one day to be a course. Basically, what he has found is that every plant in our tradition has a ruling planet. Okay. Say, for example, you have a neem tree and a banyan tree. Okay. You can go anywhere across this world, you will never see these two trees growing together. Never. A peepal tree and a neem tree, you will find several. Why is that? It is because neem tree's ruling planet is Guru. Guru is a Democrat. Yeah, he is a Democrat. For him, everybody has, he is open source.
Right.
Banyan is Shani. Shani is dictatorial. Ruling planets of these, the Griha Maheti, as they call it, the compatibility of these planets is 0. These two plants will not grow together. Whereas if you take the people and this thing, they are friends. The planets are friends, therefore they grow together. So every plant has got a ruling planet. And it further amplifies. There is ruling planets, there are ruling deities, there are, so basically what it's saying that this antenna is tuned to those frequencies.
Including body parts, I think.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So it says this antenna is particularly tuned to catch that frequency. So when you put in the homa this particular plant, ting, the antenna goes.
So that
It's
frequency
vibrating.
is aligned with the planet, the plant,
Exactly.
and the yantra that you're drawing.
So it's the whole of the cosmos coming together.
So obviously, this is something that was already there in nature, and we just kind of discovered it. But in nature, you don't see straight lines, and you see everything is usually more circular. But the yantras that are drawn they have sharp edges.
Yeah.
And again, this is my limited assessment of it. How does that work? Oh, and I guess the follow-up question is, do you see are there examples of like sacred geometry in nature?
Oh yes, there is a lot of sacred geometry in nature. But what we are seeing as a drawing on a flat sheet of paper is the depiction of that wave function in 2D. Like if you take the Sri Chakra in 2D, we call it the Sri Chakra, right? So you've seen the Sri Chakra, that's in 2D. But in 3D, that becomes the Meru. Every mandala has got a 3-dimensional version of it. So there is a 3-dimensional form which if you slice at a particular level and look at it from the top, that becomes the mandala in 2D.
Right.
So in 3D it may have a lot of curves, but in 2D it is reflecting
Right.
as some curves and mostly straight lines,
Right.
because you're cutting it in a plane. So that line looks like that, but it could be curved on another plane altogether. So in our tradition, these mandalas exist in many dimensions. 7 dimensions it is said that it exists. So we are only seeing it in 2D, doing puja and inviting the tattva because it serves our purpose. But really, if you want to explore the mandala, you can explore it at many dimensions. Up to 7 dimensions is what
Which
is
is
said.
incredible because we just recently discovered multiple dimensions, and these are rishis thousands of years ago who've already cracked fact that there are so many dimensions.
Yeah.
So you were going to some examples maybe of these sacred geometries occurring in nature. Are there like that we
Yeah.
can see that?
You know, you are a mathematician, so I can, indulge you with this. You've heard of the Mandelbrot set, right? Now, what is the Mandelbrot set? It is purely a simple algebraic equation, which, when you keep on iterating, taking you get something called fractals.
Right.
Typical examples of fractals would be ice, snow, for example, snowflakes, for example, are typical fractals. Like that, there are fractals everywhere in nature. Yeah. In fact, if you go into our own traditions, we have this whole concept of worlds within worlds. You know, there is there is Vishnu who is sleeping, and then in his dreams there is another world, and then there is another world. They are fractals, because in nature what you get are only fractals, right? It's the same thing repeated infinite times over. And when you look at the patterns in a Mandelbrot set, it is incredibly,
Yeah.
I mean, they're fascinating, right? They're fascinating. Every conceivable shape that you will see in nature can be generated out of a small algebraic equation. One small equation, Mandelbrot equation, from that you can get all of the glory of nature. Shows how creation happens. It is through that wave functions, which we call tattvas, and which we've given names. We've got Siddhivinayaka, Durga, Vishnu, Brahma, Shiva, all these. They are all names we have given for fundamental wave functions. And Mandala Vatika is a way of bringing them into our manifest reality.
Wow. So something like the Fibonacci sequence, is it does it have any connection
Absolutely.
with, because it does look like a repeating pattern? Um, does it have some connection with mandalas, or it's totally just a mathematical concept?
No, no, it is all this, not just the Fibonacci sequence, but even if you take phi, for example, the value of phi, value of pi,
Right.
you will see all of these are nothing but, when you look at it in the propagation of a three-dimensional wave, all these values are nothing but interference patterns that are resulting, which is what mandalas are. Mandalas are actually interference patterns resulting from wave
Interaction
collision,
of these values.
interaction of these. If you take Durga, for example, in the mandala you can clearly see three triangles intersecting to form a central triangle. What does our mythology say? To vanquish an asura who became too powerful, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva came together to create Durga. And you can see that in the mandala very clearly. There are three triangles which are downward pointing, and then they come together and give one upward pointing triangle, which is Durga Devi.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's all there. When you look at the Dhanvantri mandala, if you look at it, you know how healing will happen. When you look at Siddhivinayaka, you understand how beautifully the wave interference is just clearing things. It's like somebody is just coming and sweeping everything out. You can see that sweep, everything getting cleared. What does our thing say? It says Siddhivinayaka, he removes obstacles in your life. Of course, the wave pattern is giving that. You go to Muruga, you can see those 6 beautiful hexagons. After 2000 years, Gurudev established, he installed a Murugan Mandala Vatika in the ashram. 6 beautiful hexagons which are interacting to create a central hexagon. That is Shanmukha. Shanmukha is the 6.
This is next to the Shiva temple.
Yeah, the next to the Shiva temple, we have installed that, right? So this hexagons, it's there in the mandala. The whole of the mythology of Muruga or Kartikeya is there in the mandala. You can see it in the mandala. The Shanmukha. Who is the Shanmukha? What does Shanmukha represent? Everything is there in 2D. It is there. So that is why it is fascinating, this science.
So, just shifting gears a little bit here, for most people watching this, I'm sure it's super fascinating for me, the science behind it, the stories. But a lot of people, they look at it as as a means to an end. Like, I can attract more wealth, or I can fix my health, I can do all these things if I have a knowledge of Mandala Vatika. So, let me ask a complex question here, and I don't know how they'll be related, but the law of karma has a big part to play here as well. Like, for example, if somebody is not well, there is a certain karma behind it. So, how much does the mandalas impact overpower the karmic impact? Like, wealth, for example. These are all accumulated karmas from past lives, what you've done, that you have what you have now. How much can these mandalas impact that? Because they all seem to be the same energy. Karma is also coming together because of, these energies, Brahma, Mahesh, Vishnu. Similarly, the mandalas are powered by them as well. So how does karma interact with mandala to create an outcome?
I love the question. Now, the answer to this is, I'll give you an analogy, okay? You've got the sea, and let's imagine a turbulent sea, okay? High waves, Now, 90% of the world's population are swimmers who are battling those waves, okay? The waves are there, and they are thrashing and battling, and they are getting smashed, and they are trying to gasp and survive and whatever. That is life for 90% of the people, okay? And then you see the surfer who's taking the same wave and he is doing magic with it. That is Mandala Vatika.
So you're saying it can help
Help.
you deal. It's not going to change necessarily the circumstances, but it'll help you overcome it.
It will help you surf through Maya. See, basically, why do we struggle so much? Because the universe wants to give us so much, but it's our own limitations, the filters with which we are viewing the universe, which prevent us from accessing that. The universe has brought you onto this planet to have a ball of a time. But our own filters, our own limitations, our own baggage, we can't enjoy it, right? So you are like struggling and getting overpowered and smashed by the waves. The waves are everything that is there. But when you have the help of a few friends, the tattvas are with you, they allow you to surf, which means the same tumultuous waves and high waves and all that, very, very, violent, turbulent sea becomes your playground. For a surfer, that same wave is his playground, right? So this is because he just looks at the whole thing with a different viewpoint. Because the sea is ready to give him all the abundance and joy, but for some reason, 90% of us are struggling there. These tattvas are here to just take out those filters so that you can be the best version of yourself. That's what abundance is.
So let me ask this in a more black and white way, in a very transactional way. Let's say I have a child who's extremely unwell. Obviously, there's some karmas that are causing these health issues. How much can, having the knowledge of Mandala Vatika and Yantra help me overcome my child's ill health? Is it even possible, or it's just karma? They have to go through it. The impact mandalas can have will be limited here.
Yeah, again,
A very transactional question.
Yeah, it
don't
is.
Need to put you on a spot, but
No.
how would that play out?
Again, you see, because it's a child, I mean, then
Or any family
any
member.
family member.
Sure.
See, my way of doing this would be to get the family member to do the Mandala Vatika. See, because this science, because
personal.
it's a very personal journey. It is you and your universe, okay? You could do Mandala Vatika and probably you will be able to accept that person. But if that other person requires healing, let's suppose he needs to do a Dhanvantri Mandala Vatika, then that person would have to do that. I mean, and it's so easy to do. I mean, it's not like rocket science to do a Mandala Vatika puja. But that person would have to do it. So, in a way, I would say that yes, your manifest reality 100% you can deal with it any way you want in Mandala Vatika, because that's a personal journey. But for anything outside you, that person would have to do it for the proper result, right? You could do it, and maybe the tattvas would give you the strength to handle what is happening, or something like that. I don't know. I really haven't gone there. I don't know about it. But I think it's, my thing, again, I will go back. Mandala Vatika is a one-to-one relationship. It's not really for the world. For that, we have other tantras, other sciences. You know, like for example, when we do mass meditation, for example.
Right, I was going to say that.
Exactly. New York City crime dropped because meditation happened. Now, those technologies are meant for. That is why in Mandala Vatika you don't have something called a Samohik Mandala Vatika, where 100 people or 1,000 people will do the Mandala Vatika at the same time, because it doesn't have any. It doesn't go that way. This science is only for yourself. It is one-to-one for your manifest reality. If you want to do something for humanity at large, there are other technologies available. Or like I said, if a critical mass of people starts to do the Mandala Vatika, then that Mandala Vatika would have impact on a larger population. But it is still one-to-one.
So, on an individual level, is it fair to say that the impact that the mandala can have is depends on how strong that karma is that it's trying to overcome? If it's like sometimes they say dridha karma, it's too fixed, cannot be changed. So the impact is limited, and some karmas can be changed. Hence, you can apply modern science to it, Vedic science to it, and you could create an outcome. Is that fair to say?
I don't know. Mandala Vatika is not, it doesn't go into, I mean, it doesn't acknowledge karma. So I think there is a difference, because it says this is you are creating your universe, and you can modify the universe to the way you want it.
There is no limit.
There is no limit.
Okay.
So it's a little different when we take it to a society and population and others who are having relationships with you. But Mandala Vatika doesn't pay any emphasis to karma per se.
Interesting.
So, so I will just draw the line there and leave it.
Like you said, right? Like it is surfing. In one satsang, Gurudev also said, "बाहर जो हो रहा है वो होने वाला है. तुम अंदर से निर्लिप्त रहो."
Correct.
Is that what?
Yes.
I was actually going to
Yes.
ask that meditation and
Yeah.
yoga and all
Yeah.
these practices, they will change your inner situation for you to better deal with what's happening outside.
Right.
Like he gave the example of when it's raining, you've got to.
Right.
It's not going to change the rain, but you'll have an umbrella and you have a raincoat on so you don't get wet. Can I say that it's Mandala Vatika is similar?
Mandala Vatika is more powerful than that. Mandala Vatika is actually changing your manifest reality.
Wow. Okay.
It is changing your manifest reality.
Okay.
It is not coping with whatever is there.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, a surfer doesn't cope with the wave, he rides the wave.
All right.
There is a subtle difference there.
Okay.
Mandala Vatika is about consciously letting the tattvas change your manifest reality.
Moving to like from an individual level to a societal level, for example, there's like an ashram, right? You could there are many mandalas, there are many like gardens and mandala vatikas. I'm sure that changes the collective energy or of the entire area. So you can impact like a whole place with mandala vatika.
You can, but the impact for the person who would go into that Mandala Vatika, sit and invite the tattva through chant and meditation, he will get, the impact for him would be huge. Like you said, the frequencies, the energies, just the fact that
You're
these
attracting
tattvas,
those frequencies.
you are attracting those frequencies, there will be a residual effect, or there will be a resonant effect of it in the area. But for a person who goes, actually sits in that Mandala Vatika and invokes the tattva, there the result will be dramatic. It will not be just resonant, it will be actual one-to-one.
So interestingly, even in Vastu, like there is a lot, they say a lot about, okay, this plant for attracting, this energy, to do this, to do that. Is there a connection between Vastu Shastra and like mandalas in a way?
Some aspects of Vastu will definitely speak about certain plants to be planted either in your garden or kept inside the house, which has an impact on the well-being of the people in the house. Like for example, in Kerala, if you go to this, you know, what we call the Cassia fistula, the Indian laburnum, showers of yellow flowers we get in April, yeah, they will never plant it in their house. They will never put it in their house. They will always keep it on the road, or you know, they'll keep it in parks and all that. And when Vishu happens, they will bring the flowers and all that. They will do the puja, but they will never plant it in the house. Whereas, for example, a bilva, for example, it is a plant that is very sacred, and there are certain principles in architecture where certain northeast what is to be planted, in southwest what is to be planted, etc., etc. All these things are specified. So there is a part of Vastu Shastra which has got the plant component.
Also shapes, the shape of
Shapes,
the home,
yeah,
like
a lot.
there is some relation there between.
Very much, yeah, very much. Vastu Shastra actually comes from Shilpa Shastra, which is temple architecture. See, originally the geometry of building
Yeah, I was
was
to ask you that geometry of a temple will also be based on the mandala, correct?
absolutely. If you take the pyramids, if you take
Yes.
the
How they are placed.
everything, you know. In fact, it is very interesting. I was involved. I was the landscape architect for the Central Vista project, and
Parliament project.
the Parliament and all that. So when you see, when I started to examine Lutyens' drawings of that South Delhi, the Lutyens Delhi, it is nothing but sacred geometry, because he was a Freemason. And Freemasons were one of the earliest practitioners
Users of
or
this
users of this science, and they kept it a secret. You know, it's like that movie, you know,
The National Treasure.
yeah, National Treasure. It's like that. So this, when you see Lutyens' Delhi, it is 100% sacred geometry. Why do you think the British, one small, one piddly army, could actually sit there and rule the country happily for?
They had knowledge of
They,
this.
because there was definitely something in that geometry. Luckily, today we have our parliament and our portals of power there, but we have stood as a democracy. I mean, 75 years, we are still a thriving democracy, which means whatever geometry is there, it's got something to it. There's no doubt about it. And in fact, the new parliament that we have, it's a Durga Mandala.
Oh, wow. So, as an architect, let me ask you this: your personal experience of Mandala Vatikas, do you incorporate it in your architecture and the things you do?
Absolutely. We have Sri Sri Sattva, which is coming, one of our developments which is coming next to the ashram here. And I have a Siddhivinayaka Mandala Vatika there. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And the way you construct them, I
Yeah.
guess, the shapes.
The shapes and all that, yes, that energy. So people who live them will have few obstacles in life.
Can you share some personal experiences of yours? Because you discovered, like, I mean, you discovered the science, you learned it. I'm sure you must have applied it in your life as well.
You know, I would attribute everything that I know only to Gurudev, because what I feel is that Guru Tattva is a field of information, and somehow I am able to tap in and download from there with His grace, which is how all this knowledge I am able to sort of put it together and give it to people. But really, how it has changed me and my lifestyle, my wife will be actually in a better position to say that. But all I can say today is, I don't struggle. You know, I don't struggle. If something,
It's effortless.
it's effortless. It's generally, it is effortless. You know, it is effortless. And even if there is a struggle, it is because I become more free. You know, I drop that and I become more free. But it is abundance. I mean, there is so much of abundance. In fact, one of the explorations that I was pointed to was Kalabhairava. And it's a very, very interesting exploration into the Kalabhairava Mandala Vatika. And something about, after doing that exploration, I feel that for me time stretches. I have enough time to do everything, knowing fully well that if in normal circumstances, I'd be stressed because there's so much of work. Today, I am able to do everything, but still I have enough time. Somewhere that time dilation, and I believe that these tattvas do that, when they give you abundance, they will give you abundance, they will give you manifest abundance. When they make your life like a surfer surfing the waves, you actually feel that, you feel that you are able to surf through life. But it's not just me. People who have explored Mandala Vatika, who have done the course and who practice it. Surprising thing I will tell you, when I started this Mandala Vatika in 2019, a lot of the people who joined them were from my gardening groups. Because during the COVID, I was teaching people how to grow microgreens, so I used to do free podcasts. So when Gurudev blessed Mandala Vatika as a course, most of the people who came, about 70% of the people even today who do Mandala Vatika, never knew art of living before that. They came in because they were fascinated by this geometry and this and all this cymatics and all that. Cymatics is another interesting thing because it's sound creating sacred geometry.
Yes.
So the mantra component in Mandala Vatika is the sound creates the geometry in the space. The portal is there, the antenna is there, the sound creates the three-dimensional.
There are videos of this, I think, where they've tuned certain frequencies, these beautiful patterns of sand on what looks like a surface of a drum.
Correct. So that's the science of cymatics. So when people have practiced this, they found tangible evidence. A lot of them after that went on to do happiness course, advanced course. Many of them became teachers of art of living, and that's how it has been. So it's more because the people derive something tangible in their life, that it's word of mouth, because otherwise I don't do any publicity for this course. I don't do any, it's only word of mouth.
Well, I was going to ask you, how does someone go about learning this, and how can they learn more about it or study it or take the program?
Yeah, so there's a link in the video which we will give. In the description of the link, where I will give you the link where you can go and find out more and you want to register and things like that. But that's what it is. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
One question I wanted to ask you, given your extensive knowledge as an architect, we have temples across India that defy logic of how they were built. Like, I'm forgetting the name of this one temple. It was carved out of a rock in Madhya Pradesh. What's the name of that?
No, in Aurangabad, it is the Ellora. Yeah.
Just one single rock, they carved the whole thing out.
Yeah.
I mean, people are baffled by how the kind of science you need to have to do that.
Yeah.
Is that something that has interested you and you wondered about or kind of studied, spoken to people about?
So, if you see all the ancient megaliths across the world, whether it's the pyramids or the Mayan pyramids and so many other this thing, even our old Indus Valley today, it's already been dated up to 25,000 years.
Right.
So it appears now, even in Turkey, for example, you have megaliths which are dating back like 40,000 years, 50,000 years. So what is very clear is somewhere about
Gobekli Tepe. I'm mispronouncing it.
Yeah,
yes, but they
Tepe.
have massive megaliths, and it's like
and they've got many things written there. They've got star constellations. They've got maps showing what happens, and they all talk about this flood. Yeah, so about 11,000 years ago, that great melt which happened obviously washed away a lot of technology that humanity had, because to construct those kind of temples like Ellora, which you talked to me about. Now imagine, this was just one piece of granite, and top down, it's not like they've constructed it bottom up, top down from the tiniest sphere.
Exactly.
They have gone and constructed a perfect symmetrical.
They can't do it now.
You can't do it now. You don't have the tools to do it now, right? And even if, like people said, it was done with chisels, where is the excavated rock?
Still be chiseling at it.
Exactly.
The amount of rock they've
Exactly.
excavated from that
Now, the
place.
surprising thing is the Archaeological Society of India can't tell you where the excavated rock went because there is
None in the area.
none in that area. So, what was it? So, my understanding is that we had civilizations way advanced in sheer technology. It was not just the
Technology we
technology
don't
of
have today.
we don't have today. It was not just the technology, but the way they were able to access information, through portals and through downloads and Akashic records or whatever they had huge access to information. Somewhere around 11,000 years in that great melt, which we call the Great Flood in different cultures, we lost most of it. Few of them survived and gave whatever they could to people, which is how the Vedas remain with us, and so do other great texts across the world remain. You get a few
But
fragments,
clearly, civilization
but
extended beyond
yeah,
that. Beyond that,
beyond.
ancient.
It is much more ancient. And through our Veda, it's only showing us a glimpse of what was there. And then we went into more ritual and those kind of things. It's like somebody gave you a tool. Now, instead of using that tool, you started worshipping that tool. And then you made that tool like some big thing to worship. But it was actually given for you to
Like
actually
you have a
use.
TV in your house.
Exactly.
But you use it to put like glasses and like like a table.
Exactly.
Like they talked about the in Egypt, the pyramids, the sheer weight of each one of those rocks, and where they excavated it from. I was watching this on a documentary. It recently showed that to take a similar rock of similar weight and move it from like just a few miles, they had to construct this very elaborate kind of like machine with wheels, and they just could move it a little bit. But here you're talking about people moving it from hundreds of miles and then piling it up. It didn't seem like just simple people working with tools and like had elephants and donkeys pulling it up and down could have done
Absolutely. There's no way
that.
it could
We
have
have
been
lost knowledge.
Yes, there is a certain gap. There is a certain gap that you will see in the knowledge. Even in our Vedic texts, you will see that to a point there is very high understanding of the truth and existence and creation and everything. And then boom, there is one black patch you don't know, and then after that there is a lot of rituals and rules and regulations and taboos and do's and don'ts and blah 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 blah. But then somewhere no, you lost that essence of what was there before, and I think one of the most beautiful things that you'll find in Art of Living is we are going back,
We're reviving it.
we are reviving it, we are reviving that which was lost.
And I think Gurudev has said the way to do it is through like meditation. The way the rishis access it is stillness.
It's download, when you become still, you download.
And Mandala Vatika is one of those signs.
One of those signs.
Which we're
bringing
back, which you're bringing back and teaching and bringing to other people.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. So the Mandala Vatikas that we have in the ashram, the Shiva temple, can you just tell us more about it, the story of how it came to be? And it's, I think, the first one revived Murugan Mandala Vatika after 2000 years.
Absolutely. So the Shiva temple itself happened during the COVID, right? And it is so beautiful because Gurudev came and his usual style, he just drew a patch and he says, this is where the Shiva temple will be. And I don't know whether you know this, but the original Shakti Kutir, which was gate number 1.
This is where Gurudev used
to first where he used to live. He used to stay in the ashram. Then our Sumeru Mantap. Then Ganga Kutir, which was his meeting place. Visalakshi Mantap. They are all on a straight, the meditation hall. They are all on a straight line, and if we extend that straight line, that's where the Shiva temple is.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And that line is called a ley line. It's called ley line 133.
What is that?
Ley lines are magnetic lines. They are where the energies in the universe. So if you see lines where all the big megaliths are there, like the pyramids or big temples, like for example in India, all the Jyotirlings are on one line, right? So these are ley lines, and ley line 133 actually it refers to one who makes you happy. Okay, it's the translation of that is one who makes you happy. This ley line runs through the ashram.
And I don't think it was planned. Maybe it just happened in a way.
Only he knew. He
Right.
knew. So in fact, when people ask me, does your ashram have a master plan?
Right.
I
The
say,
master has a plan.
I say, we have a master and he has a plan.
Right.
That's it. Who imagined when Shakti Kutir was built, the Shiva temple would be on that same line? Who would have thought? But he knew, right?
Two points in the same line, maybe, but
Maybe
3, 4,
4, 5, 6.
6 of them.
It's incredible. And the beauty is when you go south, that line, it goes to a Shiva temple in Tamil Nadu.
Oh wow.
That is some 2000 years old, So the Shiva temple itself was built during the COVID, and as you know, there was a mandala that was put under. And after that, what they did was they covered the ground and grew plants. Even today, behind the Shiva temple, you will find a small garden.
Nice.
That garden, the plants are from that. So a mandala is made, a portal is created, earth is put, and plants are planted.
Specific plants.
Specific plants are planted
To bring down those
to
energies.
bring that Shiva Tattva,
Right.
Shiva frequency, and then the linga is installed.
So
Right?
this is under the ground.
This all happens under the ground. What you see,
It's
2/3 is under the ground, 1/3 is what you see on
and
top.
across how much area is this spread?
It's about that same same thing there.
The size of the Shiva temple.
The size of the Shiva temple. So Shiva temple happened. Then afterwards, I met him. It was towards the end of COVID, and I'd met him for my birthday. And I met him at Radha Kunj, and of course he gave me his profuse blessings and everything. And then he said, we should make a lot of Mandala Vatikas in the ashram. So I said, Gurudev, this will be the best thing for me. Can we start with Murugan Mandala Vatika? So he says, yeah, start with the Murugan Mandala Vatika, then we will do it near the new Shiva temple. So at first, there is a small building. If you're looking at the Shiva temple on the left hand side, there's a small building. In front of that, there was a piece of land, and we marked the Murugan Mandala Vatika there. He came one day to see where we were going to make it. He looked at it and he said, make it there. And there we had not made it because there was a Homa Kunda there. And that Homa Kunda was a heavy thing. We said, who's going to shift it and all that? No, he says, no, that is where the thing will happen. And then it was very beautiful because then I said, why would Gurudev say this Murugan Mandala to be shifted to the other side? Then I looked at photos of Shiva, Parvati, Muruga and Vinayaka.
Always on that side.
He is always on this side. He is always on the left side of Shiva, and that's why the Mandala Vatika also got there. And this Mandala Vatika, the last Mandala Vatika physically installed was by Bogar Siddhar in Palani. There is a hill called Palani in Tamil Nadu, where you have a very famous Murugan temple.
This is the first one after 2.
After that, Bogar, in fact, Bogar took his samadhi there. Even today, if you go, Bogar took his samadhi. There is a samadhi for Bogar there in Palani, in Tamil Nadu. It's one of the eastern ghats of Tamil Nadu, and that's a Palani hill. Bogar Siddhar is a very interesting fellow. Originating from Tamil Nadu, he went and settled in China. In China, he was called Latsu. Latsu was his name in China. There he taught people, what Kalaripaitha was the art here, martial art, that became the Kung Fu there. And then the Siddhar medicine became the Chinese medicine.
Wow. So that's why there's a lot of
similarity between the two. Then he came back, to end of his life he came back and he built this beautiful Murugan temple, and it is said that with a stick he drew the Murugan Mandala Vatika there and installed a Murugan Mandala Vatika there. Of course, 2000 years ago. Then he took Samadhi there. After that, the first Murugan Mandala Vatika ever built is in our ashram by Puja Gurudev in, this was I think 2021, I think.
And they're identical, like obviously it has
Same, the geometry is exactly the same. Exactly the same. Exactly. The plants are exactly the same.
If people want to see it, obviously it's here in the ashram.
It's here in the ashram.
And the first one is in Palani, near a temple.
It's in the temple complex.
It's in the temple complex.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, today it is like, I mean, not maintained. It's like almost gone. But that was the first Murugan Mandala Vatika that was there, at least in known history. Yeah. For South Indians, it's a very revered site. Yeah, it's a very
And
revered
this
site.
is after 2000 years. This is
After 2000 years, this is the first one. Yeah,
Incredible.
yeah, it's incredible. Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Arjun.
I think
Always
there's
a
a lot
pleasure.
more to explore here,
I'm sure there is.
and we should do this again.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
for people who want to learn about Mandala Vatika and they want to learn about do the program and course, we'll have a
Yeah.
link in the description.
Always just go to the YouTube channel, Prabhakar Rao YouTube, and you'll find lots and lots of videos on Mandala Vatika and introduction to Mandala Vatika and so many. And the link, of course, is there if you want to know more.
I think what people will also be interested in knowing is someone like you who's had a storied career in architecture, then national farming and Mandala Vatika. Your story will also be very, very interesting. I think we should come back and do that also one time.
With His grace, it'll happen. Thank you.
Great.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
sure.
Awesome.